Our trip for today is boarding a little ferry that goes over to a town called Muggia, which is probably about a half an hour by boat. It's a small, they call it a medieval walled city, port city. Should be very interesting to walk around. It's not very big, so we won't be there for a real long time. It takes about a half an hour to get there, as I think I already said. And when we get there, we'll show you around Muggia. I did have to ask directions to how to get to it, and I said Muggia, and they told me it's pronounced Muggia. We had a little trouble locating the ferry to Muggia because there really is no ticket office or anything. It's just that one little sign that you see behind me there. And if you look over here, what they do is the ferry pulls up and you board, and they come around and sell you the tickets after you're already on board. So it's not really even a dock, it's just a place where the boat pulls up. That dock over there is where we pulled in on the cruise ship the other day. There's no cruise ship in town today, so that makes everything a lot calmer. And we're off. Moving away from Trieste. It'll be about a half an hour ride to Muggia. It's a beautiful day out here. Doesn't look like there's any waves at all, so this should be a really nice ride. The whole entire cost of this trip is €9.30, which is about $10 right now. So it's actually very inexpensive to ride the ferry. So it's a nice feature of being in Italy. As you can see, Trieste has a fairly large industrial port. You see it in the background here. The history of Trieste is kind of interesting. It's been Italian-speaking territory for a long time. In 1918, after World War I, all Italian-speaking parts of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire were given back to Italy. And it remained part of Italy until World War II. After World War II, Trieste became an independent territory for a while, and then part of Yugoslavia. In 1954, it broke away from Yugoslavia and became an official part of Italy and has been ever since. We're pulling into the old port of Muggia. So in a little while we'll be walking around the town. It's not going to take a lot. We'll see what sights there are to see. There's a castle up there, and I can see an old church. And quite a few sailboats here. So we'll find out what the town is like. Church bells are ringing for noon here in the center of the old port. We just got off the boat, and we're about to wander around the old section of town here. We'll find out a little more about this church in a minute or two. Didn't want to talk inside the church, but that was quite a little diorama they had there of the crucifixion. So I hope you enjoyed that. Church, I'll get a little more information on somewhere. It does appear to be real old, but you can't always tell. Here we are at the entrance to the old city of Muggia. You can see behind me a piece of the medieval gate that still remains with the Lion of St. Mark up in the top. The street you see in the background is Via Dante. It's the main thoroughfare through the town. We're standing in the main plaza now, Plaza Marconi, in front of the church that we looked at before. It's called the Duomo. It was consecrated in 1263, and it's been modified a number of times over the years. The facade is now Venetian white marble that was put in the 1400s. So it's an old church, but it's been modified over the years. It makes it a little bit hard to recognize, but that's Venetian Gothic style. We're standing in front of the old city hall, which was originally built in the 1200s as well, but has been modified many times over the years. It's got coats of arms from rich Venetian families that lived here, and a few more lions of St. Mark to adorn the outside. We're now on Calle G. Oberdon. It's a street full of what are Venetian merchant houses, mostly built during the 13 and 1400s. The lower floors on these houses generally were some sort of business, and the residences were up above. Some of these have been restored fairly well, and some of them look like they still need quite a bit of work. This is one of the more impressive of the Venetian merchant houses, and it actually appears to be a private residence today. It was almost like a small castle in its time, and was probably one of the more successful merchants in the area. There's odd little stones protruding from this building, and they're not entirely sure what they were used for. The theory is that they stuck wooden poles through them and then could attach shades to them or something like that, or something for drying out fruits and vegetables. This street's claim to fame is that through some restoration efforts, it looks a little bit more like it would have looked in the 1400s when it was part of the Venetian Empire. It's got sections of the old stone wall still intact, and they've even restored some of the woodwork as it would have appeared during that period. It's a pretty little street. This street is known as Calle di Ghetto, and the word ghetto refers to the fact that it was inhabited by Jewish families. In most of the Italian towns, starting in Venice actually, the Jewish population was kind of segregated off in a walled part of town, and they were often referred to as ghettos. Just the segregated part of town was called a ghetto. One thing you always seem to be doing in Italy is walking upstairs. And there's nothing wrong with that. It keeps us in shape while we're on our vacation, eating and drinking a lot more than we should. And usually at the top there's something cool. This is a really pretty little residential street that's going to lead over to the last plaza that we're going to today, and then we're going to walk back over to the ferry and head on our way. Muggia has been a lovely little town. This little plaza, complete with a cat, is named Piazza Santa Lucia. It's named after the church behind us. See if I can get the bell tower in there. This church is built in the 1300s, and we'll see if we can get a little glimpse inside on the other end. The church is open, so I'll take a peek inside. They have some interesting artifacts. We're about to the end of our tour of Muggia today, and we're sitting here waiting for the ferry to come back and pick us up for a ride back to Trieste, which takes about a half an hour. In the background there you can see a castle that was built in 1374 as a military stronghold to protect the city and the port of Muggia. But it was never actually used for much of anything, and it fell into ruin, and was really not much of anything until 1991. An investor bought it and turned it into a private residence, and it's still a private residence today, so you can't tour it or anything. So we didn't go to it, but we went through the rest of the town. Had a very nice afternoon here. Fun. There are a couple other things to do here if we ever get back here with a little more time. There's actually an archaeological excavation of Roman ruins outside of town, about 5 kilometers, and that would be fun to see. Looks like it's going to be a little rougher on the way back in than it was on the way over. The wind's picking up and we've got some white caps, so we'll see how that goes. Here comes our passenger ferry. That docking is a little bit trickier in this kind of wind, but I'm guessing this guy's done it a few times, so I doubt if he'll have any trouble. We'll see how it goes. Nothing to it.